This week in Jamaica Now, MP Philip Paulwell's daughter and her mother confirmed dead. 4 people, including a woman who shares a child with a politician charged with murder. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck complains about speculation about the 6 lawmakers being investigated for illicit enrichment.
Dr. Hall can't win Eastern Westmoreland. You can't come and win late and me tell her that.
PNP General Secretary Dayton Campbell facing opposition as party representative for Westmoreland Eastern. And acclaimed musician and founding member of the iconic Third World band, Iba Cooper, has died. I'm Jovan Johnson and this is Jamaica Now. The prosecution has alleged that Leoda Bradshaw offered $500,000 to her accomplices to kill 10-month-old Saraya Paulwell and her mother, 27-year-old Tashina Patterson. That's among the allegations read out in court on Friday after Ms. Bradshaw, a member of the U.S. Navy, and one of her cousins appeared on murder-related charges. Meanwhile, Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey says overwhelming evidence shows that Ms. Patterson and her daughter were murdered and then burnt. Ms. Bradshaw shares a child with Mr. Paulwell.
It is one of the most painful investigations for the team since recent times. However, the team of investigators continue to be professional and remain focused. Charges in relation to the investigations have been preferred as follows. Leoda Vanessa Bradshaw, 34 years old, petty officer in the U.S. Navy. She was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to kidnapping, 2 counts of kidnapping, 2 counts of murder. Roland Lloyd Balfour, 30 years old, assistant graphic designer of 67 Commission Road, Kingston 2. He was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to kidnapping, misprision of felon. Roshane Miller, 29 years old, AC technician of 1B Camperdown Road, Kingston 16. He was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to kidnapping, and misprision of felon. Richard Brown, OC Ritchie, OC Gurla, 31 years old, graphic designer of 2 Campden Road, Kingston 16. He was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to kidnapping, and 2 counts of kidnapping. The DPP has obtained a voluntary bill and the case will be taken directly to the Supreme Court.
There were several stunning revelations this week in the ongoing trial of 68-year-old Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald for the murder of his second wife, 32-year-old Tonya, in 2020. Convicted contract killer Denvelin Minot told the Home Circuit Court that at the time when he lured Tonya to her death, they were having an affair. Mr. Minot, a married man who is now a state witness, previously testified that defendant MacDonald contracted him in 2020 to kill Tonya for $3 million, but that he subcontracted the job to Oscar Barnes, who is also on trial for murder. Mr. Minot disclosed the jaw-dropping revelation about the intimate nature of his relationship with the deceased woman while being questioned by the prosecutor. He said the relationship started on June 2, 2020 and was still going on up to the time of her death. The witness testified that he lured Tonya to her death under the guise that she was going to collect a gun which she wanted to use to avenge her father's death. In another development, the witness claimed that Mr. MacDonald had asked him to kill a policeman whom he claimed was having an affair with his wife. And Mr. Minot also told the court that Mr. MacDonald did not pay him the $3 million that he was promised for getting Tonya killed. Tonya's partially burnt body was found with her throat slashed in a car, which was set ablaze along a deserted road in Sherwood Forest in Portland on July 20, 2020. Government has announced a 35% hike in bus and taxi fares that will be implemented in 2 stages over an 8-month period. Transport Minister Daryl Vaz says a 19% increase will take effect on Sunday, October 15, and the remaining 16% on April 1, 2024.
That was done, Madam Speaker, because we are cognizant of, obviously, the impact, the inflationary impact of transportation. And therefore, it was a consensus that we wanted to see how best we could cushion this and, of course, allow for the new financial year and the Minister of Finance to take this into consideration ahead of time of the 24-25 budget. So that was the agreement that was kindly accepted by the stakeholders. But bear in mind, Madam Speaker, that in 2021 they were granted a 25%, 2021, for which they got the 15% and were to get an additional 10%, which did not happen. So in essence, that 10% that they didn't get is a part of this staggered increase of the 19 and the 16.
In his response, opposition spokesman on transport Michael Phillips repeated his call for decisions on fare increases to be removed from the political directorate and given to an independent body.
When there's a delay in the increase of fares, you come to the general public and you give them a double figure increase. In many instances, we know it is hard on the pocket of the commuters. And at the same time, those who are investors have to wait for a very long time to be able to make ends meet by not having an increase that will take care of inflation. And even when you do give them this increase, it still has not taken care of the inflation. And as I've always said, that we have to treat the transport system or the sector itself as a business.
The fate of Mark Barnett as president of the National Water Commission, NWC, is under consideration after an Integrity Commission report accused him of alleged egregious actions in building an upscale apartment complex in violation of government permits. In a scathing 90-page report released on Tuesday, the Commission recommended that the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, take action against Mr. Barnett, his wife Annette, and developer Philip Smith over the alleged breaches. The KSAMC and the National Environment and Planning Agency granted permits between 2019 and 2020 for the construction of 2 3-story blocks consisting of 12 one-bedroom units. However, the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevin Stevenson, said the completed development at 11 Charlemont Drive in St. Andrew consists of 6 2-bedroom units and 6 3-bedroom units in breach of the permits. Mr. Stevenson was also very critical of the KSAMC's senior officials Xavier Chavans and David Clark for alleged failures to execute their functions, especially in inspections. The IC recommended that the General Legal Counsel, which regulates the legal profession, sanction Mrs. Barnett, who is a lawyer, over her alleged actions. The Commission said Mr. Barnett's actions are sufficient for a consideration as to whether he has the moral authority to continue as NWC president. It said the NWC board should sanction Mr. Barnett to restore public confidence in the agency's leadership and to demonstrate that such conduct cannot and will not be tolerated in public office. And Cabinet Minister Delroy Chuck is urging the Integrity Commission to complete its probe of 6 lawmakers for alleged illicit enrichment. Mr. Chuck complained about the ongoing speculation at Thursday's meeting of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee of Parliament.
I think that what was revealed about 6 parliamentarians and 20-odd public officials, I think if the IC should basically just pursue the investigation and come with a report on all of them if necessary, rather than leave it out there that there are 6 parliamentarians, 20-odd persons. Sorry?
I'm saying, why are you assuming that they're not doing their investigation?
Well,
they probably are quietly doing their thing until they're ready to...
The concern I have is, rather than saying it, just do the investigation like in the 2 reports and report eventually.
Remember, the context of that information came from their annual report, and they have an obligation to indicate to the country, based on the $1.2 billion they get every year, what they're doing.
But the sooner the IC can indicate that they've completed their investigation and these persons will be charged or will be reported to Parliament. In fact, the sooner you can report to Parliament, the better. Now, if those persons fail to respond to you, then bring them in as you summon them. But to leave the speculation out there is not good for us in the House, because everybody is looking at one another to ask, who is it?
Some 28 other public officials are also being investigated for alleged illicit enrichment. General Secretary of the opposition People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, continues to face internal dissent over his selection to represent the party in Westmoreland Eastern constituency. The latest outbursts came on Wednesday when supporters of Dr. Glenville Hall told him that they will not vote for the party if their candidate is not put in the position. Some even said they would support retaining Daniel Lawrence of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party as the Member of Parliament.
Dr. Hall we want. If Dr. Hall no come down here, me no excited because I'm going to vote for Daniel Lawrence. God know me not say no lie.
Okay, thank you.
No lie. Me not say no lie. We know so we can win. With Dr. Hall. Dr. Hall can win Eastern Westmoreland. You can't come and win late and me tell her that. You can't win. No matter who you have against you. If you don't have Luther supporters and you don't have Dr. Hall supporters, you can't win. You can't win. If you don't have Bacchus supporters, you can't win.
We're not going to
You can't win.
The gold medal for the Katherine Johnson Award for Engineering Documentation goes to Team Jamaica.
Jamaica's team won gold at the Robotics Olympics in Singapore this week. The team topped the competition held from October 7 to 10 to win the Katherine Johnson Award for Engineering Documentation. The award is named after African-American mathematician Katherine Johnson, dubbed the human computer, who helped to calculate aeronautics that helped guide the return of astronauts John Glenn and Alan Shepard to Earth from space. The award is given to the team that best demonstrates the journey they took in building their robot. The team was captained by Jonathan Smith from Campion College and included Sean Michael Ferguson, also from Campion, Duncan Stanley from Wolmer's Boys School, Glenmuir High School's Terence Grant, Kimmy Chan from Hillel Academy, and Tasia Lee Hall Watts from the American International School in Kingston. Acclaimed Jamaican musician, educator and a founding member of the iconic reggae band Third World, Michael Iba Cooper died on Thursday night. The family says the 71-year-old died peacefully after a brief illness. Mr. Cooper's son, Arif, died in March and his wife, Joy, passed last month. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding have expressed sadness at Mr. Cooper's passing. Mr. Holness says Mr. Cooper was a true cultural ambassador whose music of love, upliftment and peace reflected the essence of reggae music. And Mr. Golding says Mr. Cooper's work at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts has elevated scores of young musicians and performers to greater levels of professionalism and a deeper appreciation of their influential role in society. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on a notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, Michael Iba Cooper, acclaimed Jamaican musician and founding member of the iconic reggae band Third World, died on Thursday. He was 71.